Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 78, and I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, buddy?
Surviving, my man. I'm doing quite good. How are you?
Yeah, I've been having a great week, great couple of weeks. You know, I've had so many kind messages of people reaching out to me over the last week, you know, worried about my situation, letting me know that they're there for me if I ever need to talk. And I tried to put across on the show that my breakup with the wife was amicable, and I just want to keep stressing that, like, we still live in the same house. We still eat food together and do things with each other. We're not screaming and shouting at each other at all. We're both like happy in the situation. So no need to worry about me in that respect. And again, to make the point clear, I'm dating a very nice girl now. So not that was before. I'm not an asshole. Like,
No.
I would never do that. That would be an awful thing to do.
Of course not.
So things have been perking up, and actually perking up on more than one front. Because aside from, you know, having a fun time and going out and doing fun things, I got a message on Instagram from a wonderful gentleman by the name of Chris, who let me know he was in where was he? He was in Farm Foods in Coatbridge, and he found cherry Coke, crates of cherry Coke at £9.99 for 24 cans. And I was so excited. I just responded with, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm going tomorrow." So I nipped down to Farm Foods today and picked up some cherry Coke for a very cheap price. So Chris, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That was very kind of you. And so diabetes, here we come.
We're very lucky to have so many good fans. And
Yes.
Just to go back to your point there, talking about your personal situation between you and Hayley. Yeah, you two are the best, most adult people I've ever met, because when it happened, obviously it was a shock to the system, just as much for me as it was when I heard for you, as I'm sure it was for you. But the two of you have just dealt with it with, like, the only words I can use is grace and decorum, and just, it's clear you both really care about each other, even if it's not in the way that's traditional for a marriage, and that you're both doing the best you can. And I love that. I love you both so much, dearly. So I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, she's not raging that I'm seeing someone. So,
well, I would hope not.
That would make my life very difficult.
Aye, it would. I don't really have anything exciting to tell you. A couple of job interviews, just been cracking on with that, doing my best. Arguing with people that couldn't supply services that I paid for because of the coronavirus, who were trying not to refund me and absolutely elbow dropping them from the fucking stratosphere, which resulted in a full refund, obviously.
That's your favourite story,
that one. Sometimes I'll give you that story before we crack on. I don't want to ruin too much time. Was I telling you before about the stag do that we booked?
Oh yeah.
Right, so obviously with the coronavirus and the restrictions now in place in Scotland, you're only allowed 6 people from a maximum of 2 households. There was 14 of us from varied households going on a stag do in this holiday lodge up north.
Right.
We had originally booked to go to Berlin, but the flights got cancelled. So we're trying to make the best of a bad situation. Because it was still in October week, the 12th to the 14th, we booked it all. Everything was good. Paid the deposit, paid the full amount, which came me £850, which isn't bad for 2 nights for 14 people, including a hot tub as well for both nights, or both full days even. Quite a cool wee venue. So everyone was booked, everyone was good, and then the announcement came obviously about the lockdown being further increased, and the last conversation I'd had with them was we're just going to wait to the 5th of October when the next update comes for the coronavirus, which was fair enough. I was happy to wait. But then the announcement got made by Nicola Sturgeon et al. That things were going down. Anyway, I sent them an email saying, "Hi guys, just so you're aware, I've seen that Nicola Sturgeon's put something out. It doesn't look as if you're going to be able to offer us the service, and given the completely unpredictable nature of COVID at the moment and everything that's going on, we would like a refund. Let me know how you want to go about this. Thank you." And then I get an email back from one of the people there, and this began the back and forth of, "You're not entitled to a refund and you're not getting one. I'm afraid that's in the terms and conditions. We'll be more than happy to accommodate you on different dates, or even if it suits, we could give you a second property for free for the same dates so you can have more people there."
Right.
And I was like, "I really appreciate that, but it's a stag do. That means we're going to have 4 people there."
Yeah.
That of 14, that doesn't work, I'm afraid. The current contract that we have doesn't stand up. You can't supply that service. And I'm not trying to be unreasonable here. I understand it's a very difficult time for businesses. I'm not trying to make you do something that's going to cause you any detriment, but at the same time, I don't expect to be financially penalised for anything that's not my fault either. At the end of the day, you can't keep money for a service that you can't provide. And where you've offered reasonable alternatives, I agree that they're not suitable. So therefore, they're not applicable in this situation. I made sure to put in the email at the bottom, I really want to resolve this amicably because I would quite like to rebook here if things change in the next 6 to 12 months when we rebook the stag do. I'm really happy to use your place. I'm just not happy with the idea of you having our money indefinitely and potentially something happening where you go out of business or bankrupt or we don't get a refund, essentially, right? Which was fair enough. So I basically got back, sorry, in the terms and conditions, we don't do it. So I emailed back just saying like, okay then, so given the situation, if the place had burnt down, would you still not be giving me a refund? Because in your terms and conditions, any cancellations within 8 weeks don't stand for refunds. You can't supply us with the service that we have booked on, and therefore the contract has been, I think they call it disrupted is the term, or agitated, whatever it is. So basically it was like, look, you can't hold on to this money. It's as simple as that. I expect this to be treated as a complaint, and I want to hear back from you as soon as possible on how you're going to resolve this matter. So I got an email back that afternoon from the general manager, I think he was. And his email was, thanks very much. I'm really sorry if I had to contact us, and I'm really sorry you're not happy, but as it says in the terms and conditions, we don't refund. The deposit is completely non-refundable, and the terms and conditions that would have been accepted at the point of processing your payment for your stay. Also, when you booked it was on the condition that you would only be from a maximum of 3 households. I'm sorry we can't do anything at the moment. If you let me know what dates would suit you, I'd be more than happy to try and work something that suits you. So I just emailed them back saying, hi, thanks for your time on this. I'm afraid what you're saying is completely wrong. Firstly, there was no conversation whatsoever between myself and your company. All the emails are in this chain. You're welcome to go back and read, saying that anything was to do with us 3 households maximum. That's never been a conversation we've had. You've never asked for any names. You never asked for any details regarding that. So this is an invention on your part. Where this has come into, I don't know, but I'm certainly not happy with you thinking this is some sort of scapegoat that allows you to keep my money for something you can't supply. Second of all, you still can't keep our money, and here's why. So I started linking it with the Gov.uk website under the Competition and Markets Authority, basically saying that anyone that tries to keep your money, even if the contract states explicitly that part of it's non-refundable, can't keep your money because they can't supply the service. And any offer as an alternative, you can choose if you want, but they can't say you can't have a refund. They can just say we prefer to give you something else. So I sent them that back, and I just got back, I'll look into it and let you know. So it went from you're not getting it to, oh right, okay, this guy probably is taking it quite serious. So I left it. This was the last Thursday, right? Sorry, a week ago on Thursday. It's Saturday today. My brain's scrambled with this COVID shit. So that went on and went on. I waited and I waited and I waited, and I emailed them back saying, hi, redacted name. This has now been over a week since I've asked for this lawful request of a refund. I really hope this is going to be processed soon because I don't want to have to take it further. I'm not happy with the timescales that have been set so far, and the fact that you've been insistent I can't have a refund. When should I expect it? And he says it's been processed up there, whenever, blah blah blah. So I got it back, which was fine. So I emailed one last email just saying, hi, redacted name. Got the refund through. Thanks very much. I appreciate that you sent the full amount through as one transaction. Only one thing stands outstanding as far as I can tell. In my mind, in fact, you know what? I'll read you the email that I sent. The exact words.
We could have a segment on this show where we just see who Mike has made, whose life Mike has made difficult this week, or who's been stressed about receiving emails from Mike this week.
They made their own life hard because all I did was ask for a refund, and I was very polite about it. And they kept just saying, we're not doing it. It's not under our control. We won't do this, blah, 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 whatever else, etc. So anyway, my last email was, hi, redacted name. The refund was received yesterday. Thank you for processing this. The only outstanding matter is company name's insistence we were not entitled to a refund throughout our correspondence. I remain disappointed at how my query was handled, and company name's insistence that we were not eligible for a refund several times. It concerns me you may be treating all our prospective guests with the same strong-arm attitude, and that others who may not have the willingness, ability, or desire to challenge this will be unfairly financially penalised. Furthermore, your own claim that, and then I quoted him, the original booking would have been accepted on the basis you were from no more than 3 households, stands out to me as an attempt to invalidate my lawful request for a refund. How you choose to act on my concerns and feedback, I leave in your hands. Regards, Mike.
See, I enjoy this because it's more of an example of hashtag I'm not a lawyer, but you're about to get not lawyered.
Oh man, I do not take lightly to big companies trying to shit on people, and I will happily do as much as I can to dick them back when they try it.
And the mad thing
a friend of mine,
I don't even think it's big companies. I think in this scenario, it's probably medium-sized companies that are trying desperately not to lose out on money, but they're just so willing to do so at the expense of, the customer.
Well, that's what it seemed like to me anyway. It was like, we're going to keep, the deposit was 20%, so just over £200. We're going to keep that, and you can have the rest back. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's
None
not
of
like
that money you're going to get to keep.
Is it? If you cancelled, that would be entirely different. But when they're saying, you can't come here and we're keeping your deposit.
Well, that was basically what happened through the conversation. There were like any cancellations within 8 weeks. And that's why I said, like, well, if your buildings went on fire and we had to cancel, would you not be refunding me then? Is it still non-refundable? Yeah. Because that's nonsense. Again, I thought it was really fair. I said throughout the emails multiple times, like, I appreciate this is a really difficult time for businesses, for everybody. I've seen it firsthand with a lot of my friends and a lot of other businesses I know who are struggling doing their own stuff. So don't think I'm doing this lightly. But at the same time, you have business insurance for this reason when things go wrong. I would have travel insurance for this reason if it was something that I couldn't get a refund for. But quite simply put, you have money that's mine. You can't keep it.
Give it back.
Send it back. Aye, that was it. So it was all right. Like, it got resolved. I was just going to say a friend of the show and a friend of mine, Grant, who runs Sign Effects, who is a Scottish pedal builder.
Yep.
He's been fucked over by the USPS and Royal Mail recently. He sent a pedal to the States. Customer claimed it hadn't been delivered. So a refund went through on PayPal. Obviously, a claim was opened. He's then made that claim with the Royal Mail / USPS because it was sent international tracking sign. They only have tracking up to out for final delivery with a service agent, no signature, and still they're claiming that it was delivered and that he shouldn't, or it isn't going to get a refund. So I've been helping him with it, just being like, here's what you need to do. Like, if you've got your receipt, you've got proof, tell them they need to give you concrete proof it was delivered. Otherwise, you're going to be taken up further because they owe you to the effect of, I think it's about 200 quid.
Sure.
Or otherwise, failing that, you need to get all the information you can so they can prove that it was delivered, and then you can take that back to PayPal and take the dispute with them and say, this customer said he didn't get it, here's proof he did, give me my money back.
Yeah.
So, if anybody is having any difficult times and would like some non-professional but semi-professional advice on how to fuck a company over and get your own way, I'm happy to try. I don't always win, but I certainly make it hard.
You certainly have a good time while you're doing it.
This has got that. You know what? This is my niche. This is my business venture. This is how I make my money. I'm going to be a consultant for complaints.
Complaining on other people's behalf. I thoroughly enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
Yes.
And I'm going to do this now later than we've ever done it on the show, but here we go. This show is brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. If you want to see something beautiful, head on over to Ormsby's Instagram page right now and see what they are all about. Ormsby Guitars have been at the cutting edge of guitar design innovation since Perry started the company way back in 2003. Since then, the brand has gone on to be one of the #1 brands associated with Australia and modern guitar design. Aside from having one of the most ridiculous custom shops in the market today and a dedicated team that can essentially build you anything that your heart desires, more recently the brand has gained critical acclaim for their runs of custom order guitars manufactured in Korea, shipped to Australia and then sent out through their distributor network. These guitars include incredible designs such as the Hype and the Goliath. If you head on over to Ormsby's website right now and check out the pre-order section, you can pre-order a Goliath Run 14 guitar now for under $1,200. That's an incredible price and an amazing amount of guitar for your money. So as always, a massive thank you to our friends and family over at Ormsby Guitars. Please do go and check them out. Go check their Instagram out. Get involved in some of their upcoming runs of guitars. See if you can grab yourself an incredible instrument for an incredible price. They rock. We like them. You should like them too. We are going to start the show today by talking about Well, we're not really talking about Trauma, the band. We're talking about Blabbermouth and their continued terrible, 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 disrespectful, I would even say, journalism. We talked about Donny Hillier on the show before, the vocalist for the band Trauma. Now, that would be news, wouldn't it? Well, that wouldn't be news. That would be the correct way to report on this. Donny Hillier, vocalist of the band Trauma. But they don't do that. They go Donny Hillier, vocalist of Cliff Burton's pre-Metallica band Trauma. And they're doing it again because Donny Hillier has died. So we're doing the rest in peace thing to Donny Hillier, and we hope his family are coping through this difficult time. I like to think that his family are probably as enraged about this as we are, because I'm sure they think much more of him than being, the guy that was in that band with that guy that used to be in that band before he died back in the 80s.
It's clickbait for the sake of clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, people who are interested in music news and who know of Trauma or the San Francisco Bay Area's kind of early bands, they'll know who that is.
Yeah.
And if they don't, fair enough. But it's really tacky and tasteless to then be like, Donny Hillier, this man has passed away and he leaves a legacy behind, but only because he was in a band with Cliff Burton before Cliff Burton was in Metallica and died 30 years ago. Come on to fuck.
Yeah, and I kind of like what you said there, where you're like, if people are on that scene, then they will know who this band is. And if they don't, well, then they won't. And I just have to say, awesome. Like, if they don't know who this band is, then this isn't news for them. You shouldn't need to throw in this Cliff Burton and Metallica stuff. This is going to be relevant to the people it's relevant to, and not relevant to the people it's not relevant to. It's just pathetic using Cliff's name for clicks. It's just pathetic using Metallica's name for clicks, because they play absolutely no part in this story whatsoever. So, Blabbermouth, fucking get your act together, you absolute turds.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. What a shower of dickheads.
Though, of course, I am going to run with the title, Donny Hillier, vocalist of Cliff Burton's pre-Metallica band Trauma, dies. So
nothing to do with guitar solos or anything in the tags,
Nothing.
just that sentence. That's it. So, best wishes and thoughts and prayers go out. I know that sounds like, I hate using that term because it just sounds so vapid and empty, but genuinely condolences and well wishes to Donny's family and close friends who've obviously lost someone they care about.
And if I read the original statement from Trauma, it is with immeasurable sadness that Trauma shares the news that our brother, Donny Hillier, passed away yesterday, September 28th, 2020, from a short illness. We are all grief-stricken and send our deepest condolences to Donny's family, and will respect their wishes for privacy at this time. Donny was the voice of Trauma since the beginning in 1981 and will be a hard act to follow. At no point did they put in there, did you know he used to play with Cliff Burton, who went on to be in Metallica?
I know.
The band aren't even using it to fucking promote themselves, so why the fuck are Blabbermouth using it to get clicks? Absolute fucking scumbags.
It's pretty poor. It's pretty poor. It's a shame too, because all it really does is invalidate music journalism to a sense, in my mind.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of these websites that are prevalent that are just unironically or in a non-satirical way referencing these things. It's not like it's meant to be done for laughs or whatever. This is literally how they get their core audience to click on stuff when it comes to these stories, and it's just poor in my mind. Really, really poor. Anyway, let's move on for that. But this is about fun and nice times, and I don't mean that as in we don't take Donny's passing away seriously and the grief that his family and friends will be going through and his bandmates, and not to mention the fans of Trauma, who'll obviously all be devastated. But Blabbermouth have already tainted it, and I'd quite like to move on.
Yeah, I just think the positive spin we should put on it is we want to cover this because we want to give Donny that level of respect, that he was more than just the guy that played with Cliff Burton. He was the singer in the band Trauma, and that's what he should be known for, not who he used to know.
Exactly.
All right, should we rage about Steve Vai?
Rage? I just want to laugh, man. I really just want to laugh. So this was sent to me, I believe. I posted it in the page, didn't I?
You posted.
I can't remember who sent me it, which is terrible. We get so many messages over the last wee while from people, and I love you all and I appreciate you, and I've got the worst memory in the world, which doesn't help any because I'm trying to sort my own stuff.
Yeah.
So anyone that has messaged me that I've not mentioned, I apologise, because I am a brainless idiot. But someone sent this to me like, check this out. This is almost on par with Tom Morello being King Weapon. Steve Vai has a signature DiMarzio cable, and if you can guess the price of it, I will not buy you one.
I thought you were going to say that. I was going to say, if you can guess the price, I'll buy you one. And I was like, oh no, I won't say that because Mike will very definitely not buy you one.
I 100% can't afford to buy you one. as Kendo put it, you can't rip knickers off a bare arse.
Yes.
So
yeah, I hear he'd know. So $89.99.
for
$90.
a fucking cable, it's madness. All my cameras went off.
Yeah, no, that's it's cool. We've got the cables on screen. No one knows. You gave away the secret there, Mike.
Listen, I'm unashamed. You own up to these things. I'm just looking up the signature cable on the DiMarzio site so we can have a wee laugh at it, right? So,
yeah,
$89.99 gets you a sleeved 10-foot, that's 3 meters, standard length cable with gold plated, which doesn't do anything, switchcraft straight ends on the cable. You can get an 18-foot version, which bumps the price up to $114.99. So
you're paying an extra, $25 there for literally just the cable. Not
exactly.
The connectors, like just more cable.
And it's also not even double. It's from 10 foot to 18 foot.
Yeah.
Most people do 10, 20 and 30 foot because it's 3, 6 and 9 meters approximately. Let me just read this, right? So, legendary guitarist Steve Vai has been using DiMarzio cables for years. Our new Steve Vai signature guitar cable features modified gold-plated DiMarzio/Switchcraft plugs. These plugs incorporate a new improved strain relief for the already well-designed Switchcraft end. They have a jewellery finish and feature a ring with Steve Vai's logo to identify the guitar side of the cable. You need to be careful and get it the right way around, otherwise it won't work.
You know what? I did hear, just as an aside, when I was at uni, I did hear somebody absolutely fucking insane that did mark their cables and they only used them one way because they were very much of the opinion that over a period of time, your cable gets used to the signal travelling along it one way.
That's how electrics work. We all know that. The reduced capacitance cable is specially tuned for Vai's sound. Steve Vai's signature cables are encased in a black braided jacket that protects the cable from damage, and they are double shielded to reduce hum, interference, and stage noise.
What a novel idea. It's amazing that nobody else has considered doing those things before.
Just go and buy a good Van Damme cable with Switchcraft ends. You'll probably get it, even if it's made by handmade by a company, for half the price of this.
Yes.
You don't need a Steve Vai jewellery end on this fucking jack. You don't need gold-plated jacks. Braided cable's good. Double insulation's good. Otherwise, fuck off, Steve. And see this, the bit that gets me is the reduced capacitance cable is specially tuned for Vai's sound. No, it isn't.
Yeah,
it isn't.
You buy this fucking cable in bulk.
That's not how it works.
It's not how it works in the fucking slightest. Unless there's some sort of... are there electrics in this cable that they're somehow using to impact the tone? No. Cables are a really interesting subject because they do matter. You may not realise how much they matter, but they do matter. Buy yourself a nice cable. And I would always argue, depending on the sound that you're going for, buy yourself the shortest cable that you need. If you have more cable, you have more resistance, you lose more high end to your tone. And that's not opinion. That's easily measurable.
Correct.
So how is this tuned for his sound? Surely the length of the cable is important. Does he only use one length? And if so, why are you offering 2 lengths? Scott Henderson has a signature cable and it's only available in is it 6 foot? It's a very short cable, which he uses for all of his recording because that's the sound that he's going for. Absolute marketing crock of shit. I hate it. I hate every single thing about this. Ugh.
Well said.
Go and buy a Hoser cable. Shout out to my boys over at Hoser.
Yes, they hooked us up, and Levi even hooked me up, so thank you. My wee screwdriver is a fucking godsend, and that wee keyring that you gave me is the finest, man. Wait and I'll get mine out. Sentences out of context. Mike gets his out on camera for the boys and the girls.
I've actually been using this a hell of a lot because the jack socket in my Telecaster is coming loose, so I keep having to take the control plate off it and put my finger in and then tighten it, but I don't have a proper tightening tool, so I'm finger tightening it, which isn't good enough. But I
think you need
like
a toothed nut or something to stop it turning.
Having something like this around,
you'll get a washer like that.
Is amazing because I just take the back off it and I'm like, all of my screwdriver attachments are in there. And then it just goes in the pen tip. I'm really plugging a really silly thing that Hoser sell here, but I'm so glad that this is just on my desk now, so I'm not constantly digging around for tools when I need them.
I haven't had the chance, but I would have that in my gig bag whenever I'm touring. Yeah. That's a great wee tool for truss rod covers, adjusting stuff, fuse holders, amps, you name it.
Even the light when you're behind your good bit.
Surprisingly good. That's it. Yeah.
So silly little thing,
anyway,
but I enjoy it. Much better use of your money than the Steve Vai signature cable. That's what I would say.
Yes. Fuck Steve Vai. Fuck DiMarzio. No, actually, I like both brands, but this is nonsense.
Sure.
This is absolute nonsense. You're right in what you say. Good cables make a difference because they're more reliable, and the gauge of the cable is going to make a difference. The whether it's properly insulated, double insulated or not. And again, the braiding over the top does make a difference in how long your cable lasts because it doesn't kink quite as bad.
Sure.
But to claim this is specifically tuned for Steve Vai's sound is absolute nonsense. It's the same as Monster cables talking about how they've got better connectors so that your HDMI is going to be up to 4K. It's a fucking digital signal. It either works or it doesn't. Yeah. Shut up. That doesn't apply to guitars, obviously, but that's by the by. Anyway,
let's talk Ibanez.
Fuck off DiMarzio.
Let's talk about our friends over at Ibanez Guitars.
Yes, and their latest signature to the Ibanez artist roster, which is Larry Basilio.
Great player. Great player.
I've seen a few videos and I hadn't really watched much, and then obviously I saw this post and I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I really, really like that guitar.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. It's classy.
Yeah.
So I looked up a few videos and she's a very good player. She's a
ridiculously fucking good player. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is twofold. One, it gives us the opportunity to talk about Larry's playing. She's an excellent player, astonishingly good player. Just go and watch videos of her playing. But actually, more to address the strange backlash that I saw this getting because of people going, why would you go for Ibanez when you used to be with Sur? Like that's a significant step down, isn't it?
Do people not understand that that's not a step down? Ibanez have been in the game and at the top of the game for God knows how long. They clearly invest in their not their staff, but their endorsees and look after the artists as much as the artists want to represent the brand. I'm not. That's not a knock on Sur, but Sur's are much more.
They're a tiny company compared to Ibanez. Tiny. That's it. They are still a big company, but they're tiny compared to Ibanez. And sure, we think of Sur as being a more boutique brand, but that doesn't mean that they're making better guitars. They're just making different guitars. And when you're talking about that level of quality in an instrument, it's not good and bad, it's just different goods.
You're right. Did other people, just as a total besides here, did you see the same backlash when Tom Quayle went from Fibonacci over to Ibanez?
No.
Is this maybe a problem because she's a woman, or just because they've got a problem with moving from Sur into the Ibanez range?
I think there's just this idea that Sur guitars are somehow the best thing out there, and obviously this show is brought to you by Ormsby Guitars, and I love my Ormsby guitars, but I'm not going to sit and say my Ormsby guitars are better than every other guitar that I own, because I own lots of good guitars. That's the point. I own lots of really fucking good guitars, and
you do.
The point is they're all fucking excellent guitars, and I would happily play any one of them on anything that I need. I surround myself with good instruments. So Larry playing the Ibanez AZ stuff, she's not going to be playing one and going, oh, it's all right, but the Sur was just obviously so much fucking better. People need to understand this point. I've said it on the show before, and I'll keep fucking saying it. Music business. There's two words there, and only one of them is music. You have to worry about the business side of things. And being with Ibanez is a very, very fucking smart business decision. Not just because they have the money to plow into, actually marketing and helping take your career to the next level, but because if you are out playing and something goes wrong with your Sur guitar, what are you going to do about it? Are they going to send you another one immediately? No, they don't have the facility to do that. Ibanez are going to take care of you. It is a sensible move to be with a company as big as Ibanez. Plus, I'm not talking about it like they're a shit company. They make incredible guitars. I have tons of friends that are signature artists with Ibanez guitars. They make great instruments. I cannot wait for you all to see the upcoming Martin Miller J Custom. Not J Custom, the LA Custom Shop model that they're making for him. Yeah, because it's just woo. It's fucking Ibanez. The idea that we would look at this and go, yeah, but you'd rather play Sur. Fuck right off, right? Every single guitar player, certainly every single guitar player that listens to this show, there has been a point in your life where you've looked through the Ibanez catalogue as a child and dreamed about being an Ibanez signature artist, right? This is a fucking dream 100%. For any guitar player. And yeah, she deserves it because she's an unbelievably good player. And yeah, if they release that guitar, the sparkly AZ thing, people are going to be fucking all over that because it's a stunning looking guitar.
It's gorgeous, man. It's just, it's something different. And I really like your point talking about Ibanez supporting people and you talking about what happens when you're on the road, because even for don't want to say smaller endorsees, but less, I don't know, marketable endorsees maybe, like people that are on the artist register that are the roster, sorry, that aren't maybe like at the front of guitar magazines and stuff.
Like tier 3 endorsees type stuff.
However it works, a good friend of mine, Ped, who plays in Frontier and Sectioned, they're doing great for themselves, and he's an Ibanez artist. And for the last tour they were on, maybe it was last year, they just went, cool, here's one of the FRIX models, tour that.
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, they are fairly big. They're great at what they do. It's kind of mathcore experimental noise stuff. They're big in that genre. They're probably the second biggest band in that genre to Carbomb, in my mind. But that's great. Why would you not want to be part of a culture like that? We've been really lucky with Ormsby, as you've said yourself, and it doesn't invalidate any other brands. I've had plenty. I'd written about being an Ibanez or an ESP endorsee when I was young, because they were what I seen in the shops. That's what I seen in the magazines. They were the ones that had the cool full page spreads, the metal shaped guitars, the coolest endorsees, and then got a bit older and was persistent on Ultimate Guitar, saw Perry stuff. It was like, fucking hell, man, they're so cool. Handmade in Australia, I'll never be able to afford one. I'll never be able to get my hands on one. I'll never be interested. And as fate would have it, things happened, and I ended up becoming an endorsee, and now they sponsor us. It's strange how the world works. But my point is, ultimately, like, everybody's got brands that they want to support and to be supported by and have some affiliation by. And as you put it, anybody that says that they haven't wanted an Ibanez of any kind is a fucking liar. Just as simple as that. We'll just draw a line in the sand here. You're a fucking liar if you've never either owned or wanted an Ibanez.
I think I even remember saying this on the podcast, but like shortly after I started playing guitar, I remember being sat in maths class in school with my friend that had, you know, encouraged me to pick up the guitar, and we would just sit in our books and draw dream Ibanez guitars. Like, what would our guitar look like, type thing. Because there was no question. It wasn't like, what guitar, let's just design a guitar that we'd like to play. It was, what guitar would we like Ibanez to make for us.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
The Field of Dreams, there's still so many Ibanez models that if I get an option to buy and I had the money and it was well priced, I would dive on. Things like the RG XL 1077s, the Baritone XL 7 strings. Just like that's one of many. I would love a Red Beach Voyager. I would have loved a Vinnie Moore.
There are tons of old Ibanez. Like, I'd go for an old Ibanez AH10, the Alan Holdsworth model, just to have one. The Mick Thompson, the one with 7 down the fretboard, I'd still love one of those. Still absolutely fucking love one of those. We could probably do an episode of the show where we just listed off 10 Ibanez guitars each. Let's add this as a segment at some point. Let's just list off 10 old Ibanez guitars that we'd love to add to our collection. So
cool.
I'd even consider that fucking model that Larry's holding in this video, because it's
absolutely.
It's beautiful. So
it's banging. And the thing about the AZ is it looks timeless. See, because it's like a return to like when a Super Strat had just become an evolution from a Strat. It's cool, man. It's banging. See, if I were going to do 10 classic Ibanez's that I wanted to own, at least 3 of mine would be RG550s, just in the orange, colours. Red, and yellow. Exactly.
Stunning guitars. I guess the other thing, if we want to do the guitar solos thing and kind of make fun of this situation a little bit, the thing I do kind of like about this is this puts a lot of pressure on poor Nita Strauss. Because
you know what? I didn't even want to mention her, because different leagues, innit?
Absolutely fucking different leagues of players. Nita, you are going to be relegated now to the insignificant female artist that Ibanez are going to push, because Larry is just, I can't even put into words how fucking musically awesome she is. She's a wonderful player, absolutely wonderful player.
Here's a wee spin I'd like to put on it, right? Here's what I'd love to see. I genuinely would love to see. I would love to see Nita go and up the game here and just evolve and just become this top level player and basically make us eat our words, because that would be great. Because then you could say, or I could say wholeheartedly, that's great that she's endorsed by Ibanez and she is a great representation for musicians, for Ibanez as the brand, and for women in music as well. I know that sounds a bit
it's a
patronising and sexist, but if she's one of the first and main endorsees that they've taken on as a female in this climate, when obviously there's a lot more female guitar players we're going to go on and talk about again, you want someone to be representing the brand well And as a musician with ears, I don't think she's quite the representation that female players deserve.
Yeah.
In my mind.
And as an individual with eyes, I can objectively say, why have you decided to take this promo picture where the camera's focused on your ass and not your guitar? Come on. Try harder.
I don't know the promo photo you're talking about, because I generally stay away from anything to do with Nita Strauss. You know, the only bit of content of hers that I've ever watched and enjoyed was her meeting Jason Becker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think she plays a wee bit of Altitudes or some of the arpeggios for one of the songs, and I was like, all right, okay, I can see this is quite cool. And then I saw Warrior playing, and I was like, oh man, poor Jason, he can't even walk away. Just gonna have to sit there and endure.
Just sat there silently screaming with his eyes. Poor Jason. Okay, let's move on to Fender Play. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to run this story because it feels like I'm promoting them, and I don't want people to think that I'm necessarily recommending that you go and do this.
I've got a twist on what you're going to say.
Go on.
So we'll read it first, and then I'll tell you what I think of it. Right?
Sure.
So this was a image put up from Fender. So when quarantine began, our friends at Fender invited the world to make some noise with free access to Fender Play. 6 months in, the world is louder than ever, and music still has the power to connect us all. So until 2020 is over, the invitation is back. 3 months of free online guitar, bass and ukulele lessons. No cost, no catch, just music. Got someone in your life who wants to learn? Now's the time. Let's play on through to the other side. Play loud, play free, play on. And then it's got Charvel and Fender at the bottom. Now's the perfect time for us to do this, looking into it. Remember you were talking about maybe doing a trial? Perfect.
Sure. Yeah, as soon as I saw this, my thoughts were fantastic. I'll sign up and see what the site's all about. I just need to be calm with it because there's this fear that I'm going on to look at it and see what's wrong with it, you know? And I don't think mentally I'm in the place where I can approach this and give them a fair shake. So I need it to settle in my mind a little bit. But I do think this is a nice thing to do. But let's not pretend this is anything other than a very, very wise business move. There's a lot of competition in the online guitar education scene, and Fender would happily have you believe that they invented it, whereas actually they're the last people to the party. But sites like Jam Play or TrueFire or like they're businesses, and they're not in a position where they can just say, well, you know what, we're going to just give away what we make our living doing for free for 3 months.
Fender are very lucky that they've got enough money behind them to
exactly.
do that.
If you are looking to check out Fender Play and you want to see what it's all about, go and take a look. I'm not massively optimistic because, and let me explain why. Right, why I feel I'm going to go into this with such a negative mindset. It's because with Fender Play, the ego is very much, from a marketing perspective, is very much in the Fender brand. Come and visit our site and learn guitar with us because we are Fender and we make the most famous guitars in the world, right? That's what they seem to be going with. And it's just not I don't feel that's the right way to sell what it is you're doing. It should be, come to Fender Play to learn because we have the best teachers.
Yep. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, right? There is one objectionable sentence that I've heard from their marketing that gets played over and over. You get it on YouTube every single day at least once.
Yeah.
And it was one of them like, are you sick of trying to learn guitar just watching random videos on the internet? Come to Fender Play and watch random videos on the internet of how to play guitar.
Yeah, but these ones you're paying for.
It was just, it's the tone deaf sentence at the start. I was just like, but that's all you're offering? You don't have one-on-one tuition. You're not Skyping with anyone.
Yeah.
People are literally just getting a video. It could be the best video in the world, but that's what it is. It's a video. Sure. So to take an anonymous, shitty dig at every other platform doing this, and the people who put their lessons on YouTube for free or as advertisements for paid lessons, like you do yourself and a lot of other people do, like it's shitty. It's so, as you say, it's egotistical.
Yeah.
It's not quite sycophantic or otherwise, but it paints a bad light for me. I wouldn't want to go into that thinking
it's not just Fender doing that, to be fair.
I know.
Guitar Tricks are also doing that. You have virtually an identical ad. Yeah.
I think the difference is, though, for anybody who has eyes and ears, you see that Guitar Tricks and you go, this is cheap shit that you've tried your best to push as much marketing as possible.
Yeah. I keep seeing the ads for that, right? And as soon as they come up, I'm like, I want to make a video raging about this. But because they're an ad, you can't pause the ad or rewind the ad or whatever to capture it, and I don't want to have to go looking for these damn ads, but nothing riles me up more than those. You see those, I'm sure it's the Guitar Tricks ones, where they're like, have you ever wondered the reason why so many people want to play guitar but so few people do? Right, first of all, I don't think anybody's ever wondered that. But if they had, to then go, let me tell you the reason why that is, and they then tell you the reason is because people tried to learn guitar on YouTube, and guitar lessons on YouTube are terrible. Sorry, what? That's the reason why so many people want to learn to play guitar, but then so few people do. So how did that work before YouTube then? Like, this has just been an ongoing... The reason people have, wanted to learn guitar and not picked up is, generally speaking, people aren't motivated. It's hard to fucking motivate people to do things. It's hard to motivate people to practice and be better. And guess what? The guitar, just like anything else, getting good at something requires time, effort, and practice. It's not inherently the fact that, the videos that people find on YouTube are garbage, because guess what? You can find some amazing videos on YouTube if you look for them. But I would, of course, recommend some good paid stuff as well.
Of course, it's the same as like if you want to teach yourself how to play guitar, nobody's saying you can't do it, but everybody, including the best musicians you know in the world, will still benefit from having somebody else, a teacher who has different experience in something else, whether that's... I don't consider myself not competent, and you and I talk a lot on here and in person about the like ear training and learning chords, but my theory knowledge is fuck all. The fact that you sat down with me just a couple of weeks ago and just gave me a quick theory lesson, which made all the difference to my brain with things, at least at the time, I might have forgotten it by now.
I was going to test you there as soon as you said that, but I was like, oh no, it seems risky.
Aye, probably. So the 7th chords, we'll go back over it at some point. Yeah. But if that's not a perfect lesson that everybody can learn more, I don't know what is. And even guys like Ron Thaler probably still learning stuff for other people. And like, guys at the top of their game, Guthrie Govan probably picks stuff up off other people as well. Like, we all do it. So it's just constant learning, and to have the audacity to think that you are the authority on teaching is just ridiculous, because it goes against the principles of teaching. The idea that you can always learn.
Sure, and again, not just being an authority on teaching because we have the authority of teachers teaching for us, but we are the authority on teaching because we are the authority on building guitars.
I know, backwards.
Let's remind ourselves, right? Fender, Leo Fender's company, Leo Fender did not play the guitar. You know what I mean? Like, what? Don't talk to me about fucking authority. The man that popularized the electric guitar didn't fucking play the thing. Like,
credit where credit's due, man. He hit a home run twice. The Strat and the Telly are just...
Yeah.
So... I really need to stop doing this, right? For anybody that's seen me doing this, I'm not doing a racist dog whistle. I can't help myself, and I'm used to doing it.
Well, I've got good news for you. Your hand's cropped out, so no one's seeing.
Even better.
No one knows you're a racist, Mike. You're a secret racist. Well, your secret is safe.
I don't think you could ever call any Scot a secret racist.
Fair point, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think I'm racist. I probably have racist thoughts and have done things that have been racist in the past and not meant it, but I'm certainly not malicious. I don't wish any harm on anyone. Except the Tories.
Okay. Dino Cazares explains how he got 100% ownership of the Fear Factory name.
This is a bit a weird and embroiled story at the moment. It seems to be like a back and forth, which I don't like to see. I mean, I'm not the biggest Fear Factory fan, but they're good. I respect where they are in the market and what they've done. And definitely respect Dino as a guitarist. That guy can fucking play. But it seems to be between him and Button, there's this back and forth at the moment on social media, and I don't really like it. Anyway, I'll read this story. So this was on Metal Sucks, so as per usual, you can take some out with a pinch of salt and it'll be written in a very interesting style. So Dino Cazares has been a bit coy about how exactly he acquired 100% ownership of the Fear Factory name, which he revealed to us in our exclusive interview last week, but then declined to elaborate. Citing his respect for now former vocalist Burton Seabell's privacy, he told us simply that the name became available and I got it, over the course of litigation that consumed Cazares, Seabell and former members Raymond Herrera and Christian Old Wilbers for the past few years. But now, following Seabell's sudden departure from the band earlier this week, Leave It to Machine Head's Rob Flynn, who hosted Cazares on his No Fucking Regrets podcast, to cajole something approaching a complete explanation out of Dino. After again stating that Burton's trademark ownership became available, so I ended up purchasing it, Dino at first demurred, saying, I don't want to get into the gory details, I don't want to have to throw anybody under the bus. telling fans to Google it if they want to know everything. We tried, it's not there.
Yeah.
Cazares also said that for anybody who decides to lie in the court of law when you're under oath, not a good idea, implying Burton didn't get the outcome he desired from the legal proceedings. Later, Flynn pressed again, and after detailing the history of ownership of Fear Factory over the years, Dino finally offered a nugget about the latest development in ownership. So 2002, I was out of the band, and then fast forward to 2011, I came back in the band in 2009, and in 2011 we did a contract with each other that after we pay Raymond and Christian X amount of dollars, that Burton and I would own the Fear Factory name. So the trademark became two halves, my half and Butt's half. So then all these other court proceedings happened over the years, and Butt lost the other half, and so I purchased it. That's basically the gist of it.
Seems a bit deliberately vague.
Aye.
Yeah.
There's as I say, I've read Dino's statement on Facebook, I've read Burton's Facebook statement, and neither gives a lot of information. It just seems like it's one of those a personal disagreement that became a business issue and just spiraled for there, and that neither party's really that interested. A wee bit like System of a Down. It's that kind of, well, I'm distancing myself for you, or this part.
Sure.
And
there was a story about them this week, but again, I won't cover it because fuck those guys.
Aye, I did see it. It was Chavo yet again being a wank, wasn't it?
No, they've issued a public statement about something, but about a political issue. But again, we're not giving them the light of day.
I think
I'm reading the comments on this, and the top comment on this is translation: Dino leveraged Bell's financial woes to obtain 100% ownership of the band. No wonder he doesn't offer freely. He doesn't freely offer up details, and that's probably the situation, isn't it?
Could be. It's not very good, is it?
Yeah. It's interesting though, because like, again, music business very important, and these are things that people don't fucking consider. Ownership of trademarks and band names, like that's where the money is, and every single member of that band would love to own the sole rights to the name Fear Factory.
There's another further comment which could be complete speculation. Burt didn't disclose his debt to Ray and Christian to the bankruptcy court. The trustee of the court yanked his FF ownership. So maybe Burton went bankrupt, didn't disclose it during the proceedings under oath, and had it revoked, and then Dino's bought it, which isn't great.
Yeah, seems like I don't want to say a whole lot of drama over nothing, because like I say, it is interesting, but
of course it is.
It's one of those notorious sides of the music industry where you're just not going to get that much information, because stuff like this should be private. It's like when you read Motley Crue's book The Dirt, Nicky Sixx talks about how he regained all of the rights to all of the Motley Crue recordings from the label, and he says, there was a meeting, and what was said in that meeting I can't disclose in this book because that was part of the agreement. I can never state what was stated in that meeting, but needless to say, after that meeting I owned all of Motley Crue's music again, and we could speculate endlessly on how that happened or what was said. Could be lots of fun speculation on that, to be honest, but ultimately those details will never be shared, because that is one of the shadier behind closed doors aspects of business. But like I say, if you're looking to be successful in the music business, you need to start thinking about things like this. You need to start considering stuff like this. Should we use that as a segue to move on to Devin?
Let's do it. I've not read the Devin story, so you can take the reins on this one, buddy.
Devin's always been a bit of a pioneer when it comes to independent, shall we say, like being independent and successful in the music business. This story is a little bit sad because he kind of highlights some of the changes in the music industry, but I wanted to talk about it for a few reasons. One, because we like Devin Townsend. We're big fans of Devin here at the Guitar Souls podcast. Huge fans of Devin Townsend, actually. He has an upcoming live album coming out, Empath Live Volume 1, Order of Magnitude. So,
fantastic.
Seeing that. I think that's a CD and DVD, and I'd like to get that on DVD.
Let's do it. We could maybe even do a listening party for it. Fun fact, I actually got a voicemail off Devin Townsend a few years ago.
I remember you telling me this, but you certainly haven't told the show this, so please tell everybody this story.
I will do. This would have been about, I'd say, between 5 and 10 years ago. Some very close friends of mine were in Spain, I think, at a Devin concert, and they had VIP tickets, and they ended up hanging out with Devin and the rest of the band. And these close friends of mine stayed in Wishaw, where we stay, and knew that I was a big Devin fan. Glenn actually has the SYL logo tattooed on him, which I was always jealous of, but I don't have any tattoos, so I could just go and get it done myself, but I haven't. Anyway, so Glenn asked Devin, if we phone my friend, will you leave a voicemail for him, or can we phone him and speak to him? So at the time, I was working in a warehouse. I came back from my break when I went to my break. Sorry, I had just finished picking an order or whatever, and I noticed I had a missed call and a voicemail from Glenn, and I'm like, all right, okay, what's he phoning me for? And it was like, hey Mikey, it's Devin, and I shit myself like I'm not joking. I was like, what? And it was like, basically Devin had tried to phone to have a chat with me because Glenn had asked him, couldn't get me, and left a voicemail basically saying, we're having a bit of a bad day, I was hoping to have a chat and we could lift each other's spirits or whatever. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoy this message and it finds you good. Take care. Wish us luck for tonight. And I didn't find a way to save it that I could keep it forever, sure. But that makes it all the more special, I think, because it's such a cool moment in time, such a cool memory. Yeah. I remember being like gobsmacked, truly gobsmacked that this happened. Anyway, sorry, that was a total besides.
That's super cool.
It is super cool, man. It's so wholesome for somebody to take time out of their day before a show, especially when he was talking about how they were having a bit of a bad day and they weren't really feeling it, to try and phone a fan just because somebody who's got a VIP ticket had said, listen, I've got a friend who's a really big fan, would you phone him?
Yeah.
That's just cool as fuck.
Yeah, super cool. There's actually, Devin's been in the news a lot this week. I wanted to go with the story where he clarifies that he never really liked Frank Zappa's music and says that he never really got into Dream Theater either. Now, of course, this is like, it's like Corey Taylor syndrome, isn't it? But Corey does it 24/7. Like, oh, what does Corey Taylor think about this? Because he constantly just has to have his name in the news. But what Devin is demonstrating here is he's got a new release coming out, so he needs to be drip feeding things to the press so people are talking about him. That's a smart demonstration of how to be successful in the music business. So let's take a look at this story. So Devin Townsend addresses the hugely toxic aspect of YouTube and shares his opinion on musicians using the platform for exposure. So, when asked, do you have any advice that you'd like to hand down to the ultimate guitar community on how not to get fucked over by this industry? It can be quite a brutal business if you end up learning some of those lessons the hard way. Devin responded with, I'll say this until my dying day, and I only have one piece of advice for musicians as they come up. You have to learn to fail efficiently because you're going to fail. If you're so easily deterred from your vision that the opinions of others and their perceived failings of what you do is such that you can't continue, then it's good to get that out of the way really quickly and know that you can't take it. It's not a macho thing either. It's just that for some people, it's not healthy for them to pursue that. For me, I'm sure there is a callus that doesn't make sense. There is a callus that I have built up. Sorry, that does make sense. There is a callus. I was expecting callousness. There's a callus that I have built up around it that makes it marginally easier. But if you get back up after failing publicly, if the humiliation of the perceived public failure is such that you're afraid of it, you're not going to be able to proceed. You're just not. So learn how to get over it and move on. Forgiving yourself is a huge part of that. Even going back to my time with Steve Vai, as much as it would be easy to say, I regret this or that, I don't regret it. I just have to recognise its function in my work and in my life to get over it. That's the biggest piece of advice that I can give, which is pretty solid advice.
Tremendous. And I think he's very much right in pointing out that people sometimes need to realise that this is a very horrible industry and it might not be for you. I've barely scratched the surface with the band. Not like Party Cannon or like touring mega money and whatever else. We're touring and stuff.
Sure.
But it can still be a hard grind. Like, find yourself sleeping on people's floors, driving 10 hours, 3 or 4 days in a row, eating for service stations, eating just whatever you can get a hold of, worrying about if you're going to have enough fuel for the next trip. It's constant. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. And some people might do well and flourish under it, and some people might not.
Yep.
And I think they're talking about the callousness is good as well. Because there's going to be times where you play gigs and people aren't into it. You find people that think that you aren't good or they're not happy with you or they're generally just opposed to the idea of your band. Like there's a lot of there's not a lot of it, but there's certainly snobbery in certain music genres. And as you get more extreme, you do get gatekeepers who are the most defensive of their realm, if that's a way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think there is certainly an element of people not liking Party Cannon because it's brutal death metal, but with like a real sense of humour, like a total, almost satirical parody of the imagery and the ego around it.
Sure.
So I have some experience in that, and I think it's very good for Devin to point out, like, if you're going to get into this game, whether you're really serious or you just want to be daft, you need to thick skin, because there's still going to be times where people say things and do things or have an opinion on you that, or sometimes even worse, don't have an opinion on you because they don't care, that you're so out of their line of sight that sometimes it can be a bit of a kick.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm going to read another quote in a second, and it's about YouTube. But YouTube is a great way to kind of experience this thing that Devin's talking about, like just having content out there that people see. That you are going to get shitty opinions. People are going to say shitty things to you, and it's a nice litmus test, if you like, having a YouTube channel and having people say shitty things to you to see if you can cope with them. Because some people absolutely can't. Some people can't deal with criticism. Some people will just, want to retract and fall apart when that criticism comes at them. And yeah, learning whether or not you can handle that is kind of important, because we're talking about, like, well, at this stage, I'm talking about silly little things like, did a band like my performance? Sorry, did an audience like my performance? Or did that video where I was trying to teach somebody something, did that resonate with people? That's one thing. But to make a piece of art, to make an album, and to put that piece of art out there and get people saying, I think this is pretty bad, you need to be able to cope with that. You need to be able to deal with that, because if you can't, I think that it's just going to put you in this position where if you can't deal with it, you're going to hold back with your art. You're going to play things safe. You're going to do things to try and please people rather than do the thing that you want to do. And Devin clearly does the things he wants to do, and I love that about him.
Totally. I think that there's a minor cringe factor to the amount of kind of internet stuff that he leaned into earlier on in this kind of part of his career, the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But who gives a fuck? That's just him doing what he wants. Whether I like that or not, I think it's funny or cringy or whatever, doesn't take away from the fact that his music is tremendous. His live shows are unbelievable. Yeah. And he's a consistently good musician.
Yes.
He's well-rounded. He could write a ballad. He can play the heaviest shit you've ever heard. He can record it all himself. His mixing and mastering is tremendous. One thing we've not spoke about that I just want to bring up that's really funny that I forgot to put in the group because it's not really relevant, but just when we're talking about this being able to take criticism,
right,
and accept that sometimes people think you doing you isn't good, you can be on the other side of that and you can have this ego or self-determination that is bad for you. And the example I want to give right now is Chris Barnes from the band 6 Feet Under. Chris was a vocalist in Cannibal Corpse before Corpse Grinder, George Fisher joined, right? Fairly well heralded as some of the coolest vocals that or for that period of the band, really enjoyed. 6 Feet Under, probably one of the most, if not the most successful metal bands in the world in terms of money.
Right.
Their newest recordings and the vocals are fucking abysmal. And I really mean like abysmal. The music is slow and tepid. The vocals are really, really bad. Like really bad. To the point where almost everybody's commenting like, who produced this and why did they say, okay, Chris, that's a good vocal take, right? But Chris Barnes is on social media like laughing at the fact that people are laughing at him, but almost like, you just don't get it. Fucking, you don't understand. Like, I think you've maybe went too far the other way, Chris, and you don't understand that you are now, you're not now, but you are being an embarrassment.
Yeah, your blind spots in your own objectivity have grown so much that you are unable to see anything around you.
So, my recommendation for anybody that doesn't believe me is you go and look up the 6 Feet Under song. I think it's Flesh of the Zombie, right? Or Blood of the Zombie. Let's see what it's called.
Very, very tepid.
Blood of the Zombie. I'm going to send you the link, right? And we can listen to this after the show because I know that we can't obviously broadcast it or anything. Production-wise, it doesn't sound terrible. The bass is audible, the guitar's audible. The song itself is super slow. It's like the longest anticlimax build-up I've ever heard in a song, and then the vocals come in and the lyrics are terrible, the vocals are terrible, and everything about it's just like, other than the production, this is like a school band. A couple of boys at 14 have wrote a metal band, a metal song thinking we're going to make it, and they're really proud of it, and it's not great. And if it was a 14, 15-year-olds playing their first gigs, you would be like, I'm going to support them. It's not great, but I want to show them that you can make something with this. Like, there's obviously elements of this they can adapt and improve on, and maybe even end up in a really good band and doing well for themselves.
Yeah.
But for an accomplished musician like him, who clearly makes a bit of money,
just
that's the only way I can describe it.
Well, I'll use that. I'll hopefully use well, let's steer back on with the Devin thing, right? So
yes, let's do it. Sorry.
In terms of like musical production and stuff like that, and genius, and we talked about him being great at the mixing thing. He is the featured artist on Now the Mix this month.
Nail the Mix.
So if you want to dig into mixing, it's the track Genesis. If you want to get all of the stems for Genesis and then sit down and watch several hours of Devin Townsend mixing it himself and talking you through the process of how he went about doing that and how he gets his sound, etc. That would be a great thing to check out. I've been meaning to sit and watch it myself, but several hours of watching someone mix is it's a big commitment in my life right now. But yeah, if you're unaware, Devin Townsend on Now the Mix this month. Well, it's done now, so I guess it's last month. But
my recommendation would be, if you're going to check it out, make sure that you have 128 gigs of RAM, 65 gigs of SSD rapid storage, a 10th gen i7, water cooled, because he's got about 7 million stems in this track, man, and that's just how Devin works. Between him and Jacob Collier, I think they could invent Skynet just by recording a song together.
I would think that maybe don't consider mixing it yourself. Maybe just watch Devin mix it and try and understand the level of complexity that he goes into. Let me read this final quote from them. So this one is the one talking about YouTube. So the question is, a lot of up and coming musicians and guitarists are using YouTube as a platform to get exposure. How do you feel about that? Do you think that that's a healthy avenue for getting exposure? And Devin comes back with something that is really interesting, but also kind of sad at the same time, which is, I can't imagine another way to do it right now. People just starting out will sometimes ask me what they can do to get into the music industry, and my honest answer is that I don't know anymore. That is enough of a quote for me, but I will finish. The way I got in doesn't really exist anymore. That being said, YouTube is a platform, and to be critical of it, I mean, you could have been critical of the way that the industry worked when he was a kid too. I think that you just have to use the technology that is available. Just be careful with reading the comments. That's the biggest thing. It's a hugely toxic environment, and it has become a game for a lot of people to see if they can get under your skin. Don't allow it to take hold, because that's difficult. And actually, I was reading some of the comments on The Spirit Carries On, the Devin Townsend song from his latest album, and actually the comments in that are the most wholesome things I think I've ever read. All the top voted comments on that. It's like guys saying 10 months ago left a comment saying I just came off heroin three days ago, and this song's helping me get through, type thing. And like, obviously that's massively upvoted, but then he's come back every couple of months to leave a follow-up comment saying, still clean, guys, thanks for the love and support. Like, that's a wholesome community, and people talking about my partner died recently, and this was the song that he wanted to be played at his funeral, and I still put it on regularly to remind myself of him. Thanks so much for your music, it meant a lot to me, and it means a lot to me, and it meant a lot to him in his final days, type thing. So while there is a lot of toxicity, if you like, in the in YouTube comments, there can be a lot of wholesomeness too, and we can be that wholesomeness, right? We can be that change. We can go out there and leave a positive comment on a video today. That's what I would say. Probably this one. Go into the comment section and tell Mike how handsome he is.
Thank you. I had a wee haircut in that, as I'm sure you can tell. I'm no longer Wurzel Gummidge. Well, if you feel like you want to leave a positive comment for Chris Barnes on the Blood of the Zombie video, you can't, because comments are turned off on the Metal Blade Records page for it. And there's no surprise why, because just go and listen to it is the only way I can describe. The other thing I would suggest people go and listen to, I don't know if you've seen it, there is a new band coming out on Metal Blade called Nuclear Power Trio, and they have a song called A Clear and Present Rager. And
they're a Scottish band.
No, it's the bass player who played on Sun Eater by Job for a Cowboy.
Okay.
I don't know who it is playing guitar, and I'm not sure who it is on drums, but they are all dressed up as Trump, Putin, and Kim Jong-un with the masks on, but playing the instruments and going about doing stuff. You know what, man? The song's fucking dynamite. It's just like instrumental, kind of metal shreddy, but really good. The bass is dynamite on it. The drums are really cool. There's a lot of cool hooks. There's great playing through it. The video is quite funny. Watch Blood of the Zombie, listen to the song, watch the full video, and when you realise that this is as bad as music gets. You can go and watch Nuclear Power Trio and be like, all right, cool. So there can be bad, but really good at the same time. Like, it's daft.
I like how you're
way.
telling people what to do. Like they're gonna listen to us. I'm gonna follow suit and tell people what to do as well. I will make a recommendation to you. What I would recommend is, this show has been brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. If you have the time, please do head on over and follow them on Instagram to see more of their incredible work. I'm actually spending more and more of my time each day scrolling through Instagram and really getting the appeal of looking at incredible instruments like this. It just makes you want to order something really, really special. Of course, you can always contact them if you want to order a custom shop guitar, or head on over to their website, check out the pre-order section and get involved on the upcoming Goliath Run 14. Again, one of these guitars can be pre-ordered for as little as $1,200 US. That's an incredible price. That's a lot of guitar for very little money. So if you want something like this in your life, head on over to ormsbyguitars.com and get involved. Thanks so much to Ormsby, and we'll see you for another show soon. Laters. So, thank you very much to our friends over at Ormsby Guitars, and thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. We do hope that you have enjoyed it, and that you check out the links below where you can support Ormsby or also buy one of our t-shirts. And Mike tells me that I interrupted him there with my recommendation of Ormsby, and he had more things to recommend you, so I'm going to allow Mike to just continue recommending you great things to listen to.
No, not at all. You didn't interrupt me at all. I was actually going to recommend that people get down and go to Teespring and get some nice merch for themselves and support us.
See?
But he beat me. This man knows the segues. He's there. He's in.
Yeah,
It's all about that music business for Levi. I'm the music, he's the business. You know?
Yeah. You're the handsome and I'm the muscle because you're frail.
I didn't see you shifting a 144 kilo fucking American fridges, son. I'm the prime of my life.
Didn't you pack that job in because it was too much fucking work?
For the money, yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it was too much to do physically, like I'd have been ripped as fuck doing it,
Yeah.
but it's too much risk. Like self-employed, if you damage anything in a customer's house, you're hit for the bill.
Fucking
I don't think
hell.
so.
No, that's ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
ridiculous. I had
People-
I had someone, a boxing promoter, get in touch. Well, not get in touch, leave a comment under one of my videos, under the Rob Chapman one, suggesting that he organises a boxing match, a charity boxing match between me and Rob. And I've never been more tempted because I'm now doing boxing training. So I'm off boxing tomorrow, and you know,
Please do it.
that sounds like
Please
a lot of
do
fun,
it.
doesn't it? But I had to politely decline him because, despite the fact that I love the idea of absolutely battering that cunt, I don't want him having another thing that he can brag about doing for charity, and that's what it would all come down to, wouldn't it? Lying in his hospital bed. Oh, I'm so fucking virtuous.
Hi everyone, Chapper's here. I got my cunt kicked in for money.
If he dies,
Well, I didn't keep
he
the
dies.
money, only half of it. Oh, I could imagine you, Ivan Dragoing, getting in there like
I'm
an
actually-
absolute fucking machine.
I'm actually watching back through the Rocky films at the moment because Hayley hasn't seen them. So we watched the first, and she's not crazy about them, but she like super gets into them by the the final fight towards the end. And we finished Rocky 3, which is a great film. But I was like, you know what? We've got half an hour. Why don't we watch the first half? Why don't we watch the first bit of Rocky 4? Because I just wanted to put her through that trauma of Apollo Creed dying. And I literally, he dies, and like it went to the funeral. She's like, Jesus, did he actually fucking die? I was like, yeah, let's leave it there. We'll watch the rest at some other point.
You're an evil bastard. So you are.
Yeah.
I love Dolph Lundgren in that.
Yeah.
It's just,
An
you will
absolute-
lose.
He's an absolute fucking machine, and yeah,
He's a machine in everything.
Yeah.
You know, another great film he's in,
Go on.
Universal Soldier.
Yep.
That was my favourite game that I had on my Sega Mega Drive for a long time.
I don't even remember a Universal Soldier game on the Mega Drive.
It was a side-scroller shooter, and you had a special move where like the bullets came out you like a spiral across the level and basically killed everything. It was dynamite.
So it sounds like they made Contra, but Universal Soldier.
I mean, it may as well have been that or Metal Slug. Like, they were all pretty much the same game anyway,
Sure.
weren't they?
Well, yeah, when you said to me it was a side-scrolling action shooter, I'm like, of course it was. It was a fucking Mega Drive game.
Absolutely.
Yes, all of those good ones were. And I feel bad, actually. I think it's been like 3 shows in a row that we've not talked video games, but I'm not playing any at the moment because I'm really busy with shit. So I can't give you any recommendations, guys. I'm very sorry.
I played a wee game of Among Us with Nancy and a
I
few
hear
other
people
people.
talking about that.
It's not really my cuppa, but I think if you had the right group of people, it would be great fun because it's about 8 of you or up to 10 on a ship and you need to do tasks, but 2 people are imposters and they can kill you and they can sabotage the ship. and you can call an emergency meeting, or you can catch somebody, and then you need to convince everybody and find out who it was and have people voted off. But you can also vote for yourself.
Right.
You can. It's just really sly. So there's a lot of.
Sounds like The Thing, but minus all the sci-fi.
You're right. Funnily enough, I saw a meme the other day, and it was a photo of the cast of The Thing standing outside the facility, and it's like these guys were playing Among Us before it was cool or something like that. Interesting. Not really my kind of cuppa all the time. Like, I don't think I would play it consistently, but it was good. It was a good laugh.
Good.
I'm trying to convince Nancy to play Portal 2 with me.
That's an oldie but a goodie.
Absolutely, man. I looked up like games to play with your partner or games to play co-op with locally and whatever else, and like every list had Portal 2 on it.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking this will be great fun, but then also Nancy will end up banjoing me with something, man, because it's the most frustrating game on the planet when you can't get the physics right.
Yeah. I recommend things like Swords of Ditto is a great little couch co-op game that you can play with a significant other, because it's kind of like a modern old Zelda game, like a Link to the Past type thing. But that's definitely very fun. And the other one is it's just out now actually. So I have been playing a game, but I'm so fucking bad at it that it's not worth talking about, and that's Spelunky 2. Because I loved the original Spelunky. That was a great game. So I'm playing Spelunky 2.
I've not played it, but it's good.
You can play that 2-player, and but it's just relentless. It's just constantly getting battered in there, and just like one hit death, and you're like 20 minutes into a run, and suddenly you're like, "Fuck! I'm totally missed that trap." Back to the start we go, and this randomly generated hellhole. So a bit of Spelunky 2, but enough about video games. Mike, until next time.
I love you all.
What you do? He's ruined. Guys, vote him off. We need a new host. We need somebody that will just.
Bye. I fucking made this podcast. You're not getting rid of me.